Let's move on to the next question. Assembly Member O'Connell, and his question is about public houses, and it's 976. Question number 976.
Thank you very much, Steve. I congratulate you on what you're doing to try to protect pubs in London. It's a very important cause. And yes, indeed, in my draft Town Centre supplementary planning guidance, I support the community right to bid, which gives communities powers to save valued community assets, including pubs, where they're threatened with closure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to also congratulate Tom Copley on his work. It's one of these very unusual, and I think it's probably because us new boys, I'm a relative new boy, that's quite unprecedented that we're able to work in parallel and link arms. I think I'd probably rather have Tom as a fellow coalitionista than some others that the Tory party have accepted in the past.
So well, he's already indicated his deep unhappiness with Labour. I think the Assembly will have noted that he's on the verge of defection.
That was not my point, Mr. Mayor. That was not my point. However, the report Keeping Local does recommend various measures to protect our pubs, and you have mentioned about the emerging SPG. So, Mr. Mayor, you would confirm that public houses are an essential element in what you would call lifetime neighbourhoods as emerging in your plan? That's correct.
Yes, absolutely. And keeping pubs going in local town centres in high streets is part of what we're trying to support through the Growing Places Fund, the Regeneration Funds and indeed the Outer London Fund, all of which continue to operate. I look back over the last 4 or 5 years, the stuff we've done, the money we've spent, I think you could argue the Outer London Fund has been amongst the most successful and popular things that we've done. I think it was high time that City Hall paid more attention to Outer London high streets, and if we can be more useful in saving more pubs, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, specifically on the forthcoming SPG, you do mention community assets, community hubs, but what I'm urging is for you to instruct and request for your planners that there's specific mention of community public houses, because at the moment they are covered in a broad generalisation. But what we're asking for, and I know Tom would agree with this, is that we want specific mention for specific protection of community pubs that are seen as an asset for the local community. Would you agree with that, Mr. Mayor?
I do completely agree, and I thank you for what you're doing. I think what was that pub we visited? The Real Ale pub.
The Hope in Carshalton.
The Hope in Carshalton. That was a wonderful establishment. Yes,
indeed. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, on the subject of saturation zones, so we all know that many of our high streets are plagued with far too many retail outlets selling cheap beer.
Yes.
Typically, 6 cans of extra strong something for £5.
Right.
They're cropping up all over the place. And I know very much that the boroughs do have a very key role in this, but would you agree that we do need to introduce and increase the number of saturation zones throughout London, so that we don't have so many of these outlets selling cheap beer that can cause potentially antisocial problems on our streets?
Yes, I'd much rather see that, Steve, and indeed the alcohol exclusion zones, or whatever they're called, which are also enforced by the boroughs. I'd much rather see that than some government-led minimum pricing regime for alcohol. I think that is unlikely to work. But I think that approach is sensible. And indeed, I congratulate the work that is being led by the boroughs in stopping underage buying of alcohol in supermarkets. That is also very important.
And test purchasing is a good tool that is being used by the boroughs. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Assembly Member Tracey.
Thank you, Madam. Mr. Mayor, I'm glad you paid tribute to the excellent work of Steve O'Connell, which is, I think, of very great assistance to the boroughs in formulating their planning policies, because you may have heard that in Southwark, local residents have saved a pub by specifically identifying it as a community asset. And indeed, in my own borough of Wandsworth, Jane Ellison, the MP for Battersea, is seeking to save too the Castle pub and the Eagle pub, where developers clearly want to buy up these places and simply build housing on them, which obviously they believe
takes away a vital resource. Whenever I see, and I sometimes get applications before me that involve getting rid of a pub, I always against it. I hate the loss of a pub in London where it's unnecessary. And if Jane's supporting these pubs, who can lose? I'm sure they'll be fine.
Indeed. Thank you very much.